PowerFit Karate.
In this clip, we're going to discuss different types of basic kicks in karate. And in order to do that, you need to have the basic warm-ups. Now, basic warm-ups means the actual dynamic stretching. And the stretching itself has been categorized to many divisions. The dynamic stretching is the only stretching that you can do before training, which is sometimes called warm-up or extending the range of motion. The static stretching to maximum range of motion is not really recommended, despite the fact some yoga practitioners do it, or some suggestions that waking up in the morning and extending your range of motion to the maximum is a good idea to start the day is not at all. Whether you're beginner or advanced, you always have to start with a dynamic range of motion for stretches, and on the second or third set you might be able to extend it to 95% of your maximum range.
Here we start with the front squats. As you can see, we are holding the arms forward and we are not going all the way down. We start off with more dynamic range of motion, and slowly on the second and the third sets you can extend that and add on to the stretches. As you can see here as well, we're going to the left and right to be able to test the range of motion in the left and right direction as well. We start here now with push-ups, but this is not a full push-up, it's more of a pumping push-ups to be able to pump the blood into your elbows, shoulders, even the back, hips, down to your legs and feet. Then we are changing the range of motion to the forward and backwards, which we are going from the front scorpion stretch into a plank, and we pull up to the point that we can stretch our shoulders out. Again, we're not going to the maximum range, we slowly add on to it. This helps with your shoulders, lower back, hips, and all the way through your legs and toes. Now we do the lunges. Lunges are extremely important, especially for the kicks and the karate and very many other sports, because it is the position that you do most of the skating sports or skiing sports and so on. Also in karate there is a stance or dachi that's very similar to the launch, which is called zenkutsu dachi, although there are some minor differences to the launch. But the objective of the launch is just to get the range of motion necessary for the techniques to follow. Then you have the side launches. The side launches are particularly necessary for your side kicks, and it opens up your hips in a lateral direction. It also helps out with your lower back on either sides of the hips. Most important thing is to keep the back straight. Then you can change it into the hamstring stretch by changing the position of the foot from the 45 degrees to upwards. And if you want to add on to the stretch, you can hold your hands up, pretty much like an overhead squat, and that does a little bit more of your back in the thoracic section. Now, These leg raises are particularly used for the karate, for the kicks. And the frontal leg raises are actually used in sprinting as well and running, which allows your hamstrings and hips to have a dynamic ability to get to the motion that it needs to. So we are doing a kickback as well when we're going backwards. Now these are the lateral raises. Again, it's not a kick, it's more of a raise. So it's not throwing your foot to the sides, but actually raising it. There is a slight angle in the knees, as you can see, and that is intentional. And last but not least is the back raises. Again, you're not throwing the leg backwards, you're lifting it, which helps with your lower back muscles as well. And very much effective for your back kicks and the thrust kicks, which is called kekomi, such as maegeri kekomi, which is yokogeri kekomi, which is a side kick that is with a thrust. That we'll be covering it in the next clip.
So when it comes to the kicks, martial arts kicks, in this particular case karate, we have the chambering fundamentals. First you have to learn the chambering, then you have to learn the position of the foot on the ground, then you focus on your target and the kicking. So most of the people, as soon as they start, they want to focus on the kicking. First you have to get the base and fundamentals right. So all fundamentals of the kicks in karate, for maegeri, mowashigeri, yukugeri, keage and kekomi, and ushirigeri, we're going to cover. And the more complex kicks will come after. So we're going to cover the fundamentals. So the first position of the chambering is the front chamber. The second positioning of the chambering is the side chamber. The third position of the chambering is the side kekomi chamber. And the last positioning is the back kick chamber. Therefore, you're going to have front chamber, you're going to have side chamber, you're going to have side kekomi chamber, you're going to have back kick chamber. From the front chamber, you only can do maegeri. So from this position, you only can do the front kick. Now, if the front kick is done from the knee, it's called keage, snap kick. If it's done from the hip, it's kekomi. The position of the foot that hits is the ball of the foot. Or in the kekomi, you can also go with the heel. The position of the foot on the ground at the beginning is 0. As soon as you go to the chamber, it changes to 45 degrees. 0, 45 degrees. Chamber. 0, 45 and kick and back. Again, 0 degrees, chamber goes to 45 degrees. And back. And back. And the more efficient you kick what you want to be, you have to lift it right at the beginning. With this lift, you can hide the height of the kick. But that's not the most important. You can go low, you can go midsection, or you can go high. It all depends on where do you point your chamber at. If the chamber is pointing at the midsection, chudan, then it's going to be a chudan geri. If it's pointed at the face, then it's going to be jodan. So the chamber is also the hizageri, which means knee. So with the chamber itself, you also can kick. Again, 0, kick. So the front chamber and maegeri. Now the back chamber is only for back kick. So you go to the chamber, and kick. Go to the chamber and kick. This is the strongest kick because it's done from the hip. The foot on the ground doesn't change its angle. 0 and 0 still. So 0 and 0 still. And back kick normally is done for chew down or get on. So get on, below, chew down. Back kick to the head is not really practical. So you also can start from the front chamber, move to the back chamber, then do the back kick. So front and back, just a trick. But that does not mean your kick is going to become stronger. Because this to here, it doesn't accumulate to the back kick. So for the back kick, up and kick. Up. So that's back kick. Now side Kikomi chamber, which is a thrust chamber. That means going into this position. This position is used in two different kicks. It's a side kick, Kikomi, with the hip, and the Kikomi Uromowashi, which is a round kick. Also is in this chamber. So the position of this chamber again could be 45 to 0 degrees at the chamber in position. Then when the chamber is open, it goes to the 0 position. So 1 and 2. 1 and 2. And that's your chamber. 1 and 2. That's your chamber. 1 and 2. 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 The last chambering position is the most useful in a fight, and it's used for multiple kicks. And this is the 45 degrees chambering position. In the 45 degrees chambering position, your feet is always at the edge, knife edge. So this chambering position starts at 45 degrees this way and can end up in the 90 degrees for the side kicks, especially Kage. In the Karate Shotokan, they have two different side kicks. You have the Kage, and previously, which I showed you, have the Kikomi. But you also have the Kage transforming to Kikomi. You start up from this, then you change to Kikomi. But the side chamber is basically used for side kick, round kick, but inwards, which means not incorporating your hips, and round kick, owashi. Side kick, round kick, back round kick, and round owashi. Now when it comes to side kick, it's a linear motion. So it goes linear towards your opponent. So it's going to be 45 if it's a Kage, and it's going to be 0 if it's a Kikomi. But with the roundhouse kick, the back roundhouse kick, you have to incorporate the hip motion. You can do it without, which will be hopping forward, or you can do it with the hip motion, which means you get to the chamber position and open. Chamber, chamber, and open. And when it goes open, the standing feet from 45 degrees this way switches to 45 degrees this way, but it doesn't go to 90 degrees. In Thai boxing, they do 90 degrees, but that's not a roundhouse kick. It's a more advanced kick that we're going to cover later. Now, the back roundhouse kick is the same thing, Uromowashi. What we do is, we aim for the Yukugeri Kage in the 45 degrees. Then we bring it in. We aim for the Yukugeri Kage in the 45 degrees. And bring it in. And you can see the foot starts in this position and it ends up in this position. So this is the only foot position that goes 180 degrees change to make the kick more powerful. The only kick without chamber is a kakudegeri, which is an axe kick. Although you don't have a chamber in this kick, the motion of the other foot is very important, which starts again from the 45 degrees, goes up and hits on the shoulder. Goes 45 degrees, goes up, hits on the shoulder. Goes up, hits on the shoulder. But there is no chamber because the leg is straight. That's why it's called axe kick. Up and hit on the shoulder. Up, hit on the shoulder. Up, hit on the shoulder. And the reverse is also possible. So up and down. Up and down. Up and down. To sum up the basic kicks, we have Maegeri, Mawashigeri, Uromawashigeri. Maegeri, Mawashigeri, Uromawashigeri. Kakudegeri. Kakudegeri. Yukugeri kekome. Yukugeri kekome. Ushirogeri. Ushirogeri. Ayame. If you have watched up to this point, you might wonder what was that logo that you just saw. That is a link to download the web browser called Brave. With this web browser, when you are browsing, when the commercials pop up, you choose to filter them, and if you don't, you get paid for them, instead of Microsoft and Facebook stealing your money. And your data is secure. At the same time, you can tip the people who you choose on YouTube, Twitter, or personal websites to receive the money and not the huge companies. And if you did download it, please tip my channel as well.